What's up, everybody? Welcome to the lounge. My name is Grant. We have a Seattle Sounders match to discuss today. It was the League's Cup, the third round of games in the group phase. Our Seattle Sounders took on the mighty Chivas Guadalajara in a absolutely thrilling match. Unfortunately, the scoreline did not favor the Seattle Sounders, but I tell you what, that atmosphere was absolutely insane. I'm going to try and get attendance numbers here while I talk. I'm not sure if FotMob will tell me. If you attended this match and know the attendance, let me know. It was a pretty 50-50 crowd with Chivas fans and the Sounders fans. Chivas fans were loud. They were proud. It felt like a playoff match. I absolutely loved it. I know some Portland players were upset when Club America took over their stadium. But you know what? Here at Lumen, the 50-50 crowd, I loved it. Great atmosphere. Even though this game, there was really nothing to play for either team. Chivas was already eliminated. Seattle, there was a glimmer of a chance the Sounders could advance. I think the only scenario was the Sounders had to win this match by 3 or 4 goals just to have a chance to advance, because the cutoff point is last year it was 7 points to advance. This year it might have been 6, but you needed a really good goal differential. And honestly, this whole Leagues Cup standings format is just so stupid. I really dislike it. Makes absolutely no sense to me. But it is what it is. But let's talk about this match here. The first half of this game. Well, before we talk about this game, we have to talk about the lineup first, because the Seattle Sounders heavily rotated squad, and I mean rotated. It was essentially Team Tacoma Defiance versus Chivas today. I'll tell you the lineup here. We lined up in a 3-4-3 formation. We finally changed formations. And I don't know about you, but one of my big frustrations for the Sounders, and I guess Brian Schmetzer during that 7-game losing streak that we had, when we lost to Toluca, that was our 7th loss in a row. We didn't change formation at all throughout that entire streak. And it really, I'm not a football expert, but it really kind of rubbed me the wrong way from Brian, where it's like, okay, we're running out this formation with these group of players, and it's just not working. We're not getting the results that we need. So change up the formation. Do something. Just do something to change the vibe and the mojo on the pitch, right? And it really frustrated me that Brian is so enamored with the 4-2. What is it? A 4-2-3-1 formation, the double pivot, or yeah, I think it's a 4-2-3-1. The double pivot formation, he loves it. But, if you don't have the group of players to pull it off, you got to adjust. And that's the sign of a really good coach, is adjusting your tactics, adjusting your formation to the players' skill sets that you have available. And I really appreciated that from Brian tonight, where we were heavily rotated the squad, a lot of young players, and we switched the formation to a 3-4-3. So in net, we had Steph Fry. Your back line was Sandness. It almost looks like Sadness at first glance, like you're about to cry, but it's Sandness. Stu Hawkins, and then Ryan Saylor. That was your back 3. Your midfield 4 of Gomez, or you could call him Sebastian Gomez. You got Tino Lopez. You have Mark O'Neill, who is, I believe, the younger brother of Shane O'Neill, which is awesome. Charlie Gaffney. So that is your 4 midfielders. And then your 3 guys up top is Jesus Ferreira, Osaze de Rosario, and Edson Carly. So a lot of Tacoma players. Uh, Coming in, I thought we were going to get smashed. When I saw this lineup, I was like, okay, we're going to get smashed like 3-4 nil. I was not expecting much at all, honestly. Chivas did rotate their squad to some degree, but they still had enough quality players on the pitch to compete. They didn't like rotate their team to the point of it was just kids on the pitch for Chivas. It was still a really good team for them. And I got to say, for the Sounders, when this game got going, I was so impressed at how we started this match. I like the 3-4-3 formation. I'm a big fan of three at the back because it's dynamic. So when you're on the attack, you can have three defenders, but then if you are, a lot of pressure is coming down on you, you can easily transition to five in the back. It's a very versatile formation, having three in the back. I believe, if I remember correctly, it might have been like 2021 or 2022. We started the season with three in the back. We might have done like a 3-5-2 formation to start the season. I really like it. It worked out well at the time. Maybe that's something Brian ponders on after this match. But I really liked it because you're able to go to a back five if need be. But really, really good stuff. And it got going in the 13th minute for the Sounders. It was off I'm trying to remember. It was off a corner kick, I believe. Jesus Ferreira took it, and it was flicked basically to Sadness, who just tapped it home to make it 1-0. Great goal. It was nice to see a set piece goal. The set pieces were great in this match. Jesus Ferreira was dropping dimes out there. Well, maybe not dimes, but it was a lot better than Alba Rusnak, I'll tell you that, who normally takes the set pieces. Very, very good stuff from Jesus. Great to see Sadness score. 18 years old. Unbelievable stuff. He was stoked. I loved it. And honestly, as the first half went on, it looked like we just kind of built momentum into the match. We made it very difficult for Chivas to break us down. Yeah, Chivas had more possession in the first half, but I was not nervous at all that Chivas was going to score it all in the first half. It felt like we were in control of the game still. Our counterattacks were lethal. It would have been nice if we would have scored another one before halftime, but everything was so crisp. Like just the energy that we had, the passing was great. It felt like everyone on the team was on the same page for the first time in a long, long time. What really impressed me in that first half was just the combination of the effort that we had, our ability to press Chivas, to get the ball back, winning duels. Maybe, passing, it wasn't necessarily like perfect. But, it was perfect enough where on the counter we were dangerous. I thought Osaze de Rosario was amazing. It's one of the first times this season Osaze really looked like a pure striker. I think it's because he was getting service. In previous matches when Osaze has started, he's just not getting service. He's not getting balls, so he's not able to make those runs. The midfield today were sending like long balls over the top for Osaze to battle with the Chivas defenders, and Osaze's a big boy. He's a very big boy, and that's what you want to see from your striker in Osaze. That's how he plays. So it was just great to see. He was making a difference out there. He was very noticeable. Definitely one of his best games this season, in my opinion. But just overall, first half thoughts, incredible stuff. We end the first half 1-0 for the Sounders. I was super impressed. I was like, if we can keep this up to like the 60th minute, get some subs on, I think there's a chance that we could win this game 1-0, maybe get a second goal, make it 2-0. I was very impressed. And then Steph Fry was doing Steph Fry things, making saves, diving saves. Like he's just unbelievable. 40. See, just a reminder, everyone. Steph Fry, 40 years old, and honestly, it looks like we're getting vintage 2016. Steph Fry. It's just unbelievable. Stephen Fry in this entire League's Cup. Didn't really have to do much in the Querétaro match, but in that Toluca match, he was bombarded with long shots, and the amount of saves he had to make was unreal. Same thing today. Maybe not as bad as the Toluca game, but I had to make some unreal saves to keep it scoreless. And then let's talk about, we head into the second half here, and it was essentially all Chivas. They looked super hungry. The fans there were, doing their little whistling, weren't too happy with how Chivas was playing. Apparently Chivas were super into this match that they needed to win because coming in, they hadn't won in League's Cup yet. I think they lost in penalties. Yeah, lost in penalties to LAFC in the first game. Lost to FC Dallas. Kind of embarrassing. But Dallas is doing well in this tournament. But I was not expecting that result. So they were super desperate for a win just to get things back, back in the swing of things before they head back to Liga MX's regular season play for them. And it showed. They were super dominant in the second half. There was so much pressure. Fry was making saves, but, at some point, Chivas was knocking at the door, and eventually the door is going to break. The dam's going to burst. You can insert any analogy you want there. I like that. The dam's going to burst. The dam did burst, unfortunately. And it was Luis Gabriel Rey, for Chivas, who would score in the 60th minute to make it 1-1. Someone's going to have to look at the replay for me. I watched, obviously on Apple TV, the broadcast. They didn't show a good enough replay where the ball was bouncing in the box. It fell to Ray. He shot it, and Steph Fry didn't move. And I'm wondering if Fry was screened and didn't see the shot, get released. Because it looked like a shot that was savable in my opinion. It wasn't top right corner or side netting. It felt like Fry just didn't see the shot. So unfortunately, that one goes in 1-1. But honestly, it was coming. I'm not going to blame Steph Fry for giving up that goal. It is what it is. And then Chivas just kept coming and coming and coming. They made some subs, brought on, who did they bring on? In the 70th minute, they made a lot of subs, bringing on their regular starters. Armando Gonzalez came on. Santiago Sandoval came on. And Sandoval would get the goal in the 71st minute to make it 2-1. I believe it was Romo for Chivas, Luis Romo, center back, absolute dime of a cross into the box, perfectly placed for Sandoval to head it in. Nothing Fry can do. Overall, great goal for Chivas. I was super impressed by it, honestly. Insane pass by Romo. It's 2-1. And it felt like Chivas were just going to take over this game, and it was going to get embarrassing, 3-4-1. And it felt like all the hard work in the first half, it just felt like the legs from all the young players were starting to go a bit, which obviously, it makes sense. It just looked like everyone just got tired. The legs were gone for the Sounders. But I got to give him credit, though. Brian makes some subs. Kingston came on. Rothrock came on. Kehlani Kosarienzi came on. Kim Ki-hee came on. And then Alex Rodon came on later in the 84th minute. Rothrock was a difference maker. He was making runs down the left wing. I thought Kosarienzi looked pretty good. Peter Kingston was just a little road runner doing his thing out there. Kim Ki was great, adding more stability to our back line. And we did have a chance. I forgot at what minute, but I think it was like it might have been like the 78th or 80th minute around there. I don't know who passed it. It was either Mark O'Neill or Lopez. I don't know who it was. Someone let me know in the comment section, but unbelievable pass. It was like outside of the foot, and it just curled perfectly for Osaze de Rosario in the box. And he just flat out just missed it. Like on the replay, he just didn't time it right. Like when the ball was like at his right foot, his right foot was like behind him. His left foot was in front of him. He just like mistimed his legs for the run and trying to hit the ball. Super disappointing. And look, like Osaze, you need to bury that chance. Your striker needs to bury a chance like that. But I'll give Osaze a pass. He's still learning. He's a young guy. It is what it is. But it was just such a great play, and I wish Osaze would have buried it. But yeah, great chance to make it 2-2. We had multiple chances to make this game 2-2, honestly. Just couldn't finish it. Kind of the story of the Sounders season. Kind of the story of the Seattle Sounders for many seasons, honestly, where we have chances to score, but we just don't have that final bit of quality to put in the back of the net. It's been a bit of a frustration for me personally, watching the Sounders. Just missing that, Raul Ruiz-Diaz type striker just to finish all these chances that we're creating. But, we'll see what happens. I don't want to get into the transfer rumors and stuff. That's just opening a black box there. I don't want to talk about that. But too bad for De Rosario. We couldn't finish it. But honestly, overall, I thought he had a great game. I thought everyone in the starting 11 was fantastic. And to kind of finish the game, Sounders would run out of time. Game ends 2-1 for Chivas. The man of the match, according to FOTMob, is Romo for Chivas, 8.4 player rating with the assist. For the Sandoval goal, the match winner, I'd have to concur about that. He was really good today. Your man of the match for the Seattle Sounders, just according to FOTMob, and then I'll do my personal rating. The highest rated player on the Sounders today was Stefan Fry. He had 9 saves today. Oh, wow, this is very specific. I'm looking at the stats right now. 9 saves, 48% accurate passes, 32% accurate long balls. I don't know if that's good or not. 6 diving saves, 3 saves inside the box. 2 throws, 7 recoveries, 2 clearances, 46 touches. Well, I had no idea that they were that in-depth on the stats. Go FOTMob. I love it. So, yes, according to FOTMob, Stefan Fry is the highest-rated player for the Sounders. In my opinion, the player that stood out to me the most, it's kind of hard. I thought Jesus Ferreira was pretty good. Osaze fought and battled like I haven't seen him fight throughout the season. I thought that was great. If I had to give it to one player, though, I think I'll give it to Sadness. I thought he was fantastic. At 18 years old, playing his first game for the Sounders in an tough environment, a 50-50 crowd. I'm sure the nerves were there. He got the goal for us to make it 1-0. I thought he was solid as our, what would you call that, like a left center back, if you want to say. And I'm not a football expert, if you couldn't tell. Like a left back, basically, left center back. I thought he was great. So I'll give him man of the match for the Sounders, but Romo for Chivas is overall man of the match in my opinion. Not my opinion, that's for FOTMob. So yes, that is basically it for Leagues Cup for the Sounders. They are eliminated with this loss. Up next for us, we go back to regularly scheduled MLS play. No more tournaments, no more, Champions League, Champions Cup, I should say. Leagues Cup's done, so now we get to focus on MLS and only MLS, trying to qualify for the playoffs. Hopefully, get things going again in MLS play. We've lost 6 in a row in MLS, so if we can rectify that. Looking at the standings right now, we hold the last playoff spot currently. Ninth place, 7 wins, 3 draws, 7 losses, 24 points. Not great. However, the West is so clogged where 3 points above us is Real Salt Lake in 5th place. And then 3, 4, 5 points above us is 4th place in the Houston Dynamo. 6 points. That's not right. That can't be right. 24, 6 is 38 points. There we go. 8 points above us is the Houston Dynamo. 9 points above us is 3rd San Jose. And then 10 points above us is LA and Vancouver in 1st and 2nd. I am recording this very late at night, so that was my bad of trying to do math there. Never attempt math past 1 a.m. It's never gonna work out. But yes, that'll be a good one this weekend, Sunday, August the 16th. We take on the Vancouver Whitecaps. Can't wait for it. Hopefully we have a better performance against a Cascadia rival. I'm referencing the Portland match where we lost 5-1 and then lost to the Timbers again at their place, Providence Park. I think that was 3-1? 2-1. It was 2-1. Hopefully we can put up a better performance. And one last thing that I want to mention here, and in post when I edit this, I'll see if I can find the post-match interview for Brian Schmetzer, but I'll kind of summarize kind of what he said. Someone asked Brian, this is an awesome moment in the presser, someone asked Brian about the effort in this match, how the young kids showed a lot of fight and grit, and was wondering if this was an example for the first team for the Sounders, who throughout this losing streak, especially in that Timbers match, the 5-1 game, have shown a lack of effort and tenacity. And Brian was like, "Oh yeah, I looked the guys on the first team dead in the eye, and I showed them this is an example of how you play for the Seattle Sounders." I think that's awesome, and I'll play that clip right here if I can find it.
How much do you think it's more helpful the first team was able to see that from the side? And is that
I made an example for the first team. Trust me on that, because I'm looking at guys that think they're the first team. Looked them dead in the eye when I was talking.
But yes, I love that from Brian. Honestly, that's the one thing that's concerned me throughout this losing streak. I think everyone was kind of blowing it out of proportion just a tad. We have so many injuries on the Sounders, and so in my opinion, the losing streak is mainly due to those injuries. If we were pretty healthy and had this losing streak, then I'd be very, very concerned. But once we start getting players back and, get into a regular starting 11 again, I think we'll be back on track to how we were at the start of the season. But the main thing that concerned me was the effort. That Portland game was just embarrassing. And we have all these, veterans on this team. I'll call out, Albert Rusnak. Your Jesus Ferreira is a part of it a little bit. Paul Arriola, Nuhu. Guys that, have been in the league for a long time. It just feels like the effort wasn't there during that, especially that Timbers game. but in the other matches as well. And I love how Brian was like, oh, yeah, I looked the first team players dead in the eye and said, that's how you play for the Seattle frickin' Sounders. And I couldn't agree more. And honestly, we lost this game, but vibes are high for me. Very good. I'm not sad or angry that we lost this game. Would I have loved to win it? Of course. I'm a competitive guy. I want, the Sounders to win every match they play in. But, I think all of us fans can leave this game with our heads held high and just applaud the effort that all these kids put in today. It was inspiring. I was super impressed by our boys today. Just love the effort that we had in this match, and hopefully, like Brian said, this can be a game where all the veterans on this team can be like, oh man, like these young kids, if they're going to put in that effort, then I got to at least match it. You would think that's how their minds would work. We'll see in this Vancouver game when, we play a more veteran heavy lineup. But this match, it kind of reminded me of when we went down to Houston and played a bunch of kids and won there with like the youngest lineup, starting 11 in MLS history or whatever. Very similar game. I know we didn't win, but this will definitely be a match I remember in the future as being like, wow, like I'm so grateful for Tacoma Defiance and how good these guys are and how much they fight for the badge and fight for the shirt and how they represent Seattle Sounders football. Just incredible. I loved watching it tonight. It was a great time. Atmosphere, again, I cannot repeat that enough, was just insane. Absolutely loved it. And the game was basically meaningless. So like I was expecting to be bored, honestly. And there really wasn't a time in this match where I was bored. It was an overall fantastic game. Both teams going out fighting for a win. In the end, Chivas get that win 2-1. But just overall great stuff for me. And we'll see if the Sounders veterans can learn from the kids and bring some of that hunger and tenacity and fight into the Vancouver game, because that's going to be a massive, massive game. I could care less about MLS standings when you play Portland or Vancouver. Those are matches that you just have to win. It's your rival, and hopefully we can get a big dub this weekend. Right, that's all from me. I'll give you the times, by the way. Sounders Vancouver, Sunday, August 16th, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that is a 7:30 p.m. local time in Seattle. Thank you so much for listening. This is something new that I'm just going to do for the Sounders post-match, just because, I don't have anyone to talk Sounders with. So I thought I would share my thoughts with all of you lovely Sounders fans online, on the internet, or wherever you're watching this or listening to this. Very grateful that you stayed to the end of this episode. If you are new to this channel, feel free to subscribe. Like the episode too if you're feeling up for it. Head to the links in my video description. I have links for my discount code at Barvita. Use the code GRAND15 for 15% off. If you want to try some Barvita bars, they're like basically like healthy like snack bars to replace your Snickers bars, Hershey's, Reese's, all that if you're trying to be healthy. And then I do have a link for Beano boards. They do have a Seattle Sounders Beano board, so make sure you check them out. It's super awesome. I got one at home. I play with it every time, I have nothing going on at home and I'm bored. Good. It's a good halftime activity though. If you're watching the Sounders, you need 15 minutes to kill. Get the Beano board out, play some flick soccer with your buddies. Good way to kill the time. But yes, that is the Sounders Chivas match. Chivas get the win 2-1. Both teams eliminated from Leagues Cup. However, great stuff. And I always like to end any video or episode that I do by saying it is such a crazy world out there. So I'm sending all my love from me to you and to everybody around the world that could use some love right now. Hope we're doing well. Hope we're doing okay. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And I will speak to you soon. Go Sounders.